This is regarding new smoke regulations. I was unaware of new state law smoke regulations, and many of you may not have been aware of this either, but you're going to hear about it now because this is really real, and this is also part of a way in which we're going to be further confronted with illness is through the smoke. And what we've discovered is this. First of all, I just want to talk about that there have been over 15,000 California fires in the last 16 years, including the deadliest ever, were caused by one company, Pacific Gas and Electric. And here's what they talk about the fires. And of course we know that PG&E is responsible for the fires. They caused them, but not by ill management of vegetation from the power lines, by certainly failed infrastructure, upkeep and maintenance, but more importantly, the knowledge that they were going to start the fires in the first place. They are criminals, and this is what they do. They start fires. They're arsonists. And so a little about these smoke regulations. Now, how I found out about this is I attend so many meetings that in one of the meeting agendas, there was this little fragmented line. It said in February, we're going to be having a consultant come to our business, and we're going to be talking about the business, the employer's responsibility for smoke regulations for all the employees. And I thought, what is this? And so here's what this is. First of all, it's important to note that the smoke regulations during and after the fires and these new requirements for the new normal of fire warfare, they talk about the smoke being dusts, fumes, mists, vapors, and gases. And it's a toxic brew that the employer must now regulate for the employees. They say to move smoke illness to employers, and this is really a stealth plot to make all the businesses responsible for the ill health of all of us that were breathing toxic smoke. A further takedown of our economy and destruction to our businesses, making them responsible. And I'm going to go over this because PG&E is dissolving itself from all liability issues, and we'll get into that after we talk about the smoke. But PG&E is vacating further liability on all fronts, and they know because this was all part of the plan, the toxic smoke to make us all ill. And we know what happened in New York with the World Trade Towers. About 8 years or so later, and maybe not even that long, many first responders were becoming quite ill and dying. And they're understanding that that's going to happen here because of the smoke. So this is an emergency about this, and it was endorsed July the 29th of 2019. And it's on regulations, and it's a form that has been approved and agreed. And they're talking about standards, presentation to California Occupational Safety and Health Standards Board. And they talk about the employer should responsibly anticipate that employees may be exposed to wildfire smoke because they're burning us up. So of course they know that they're going to have to anticipate employees being exposed to smoke. They go on to say the following workplaces and operations are exempt, though, from this section. And they say enclosed buildings or structures in which air is filtrated by mechanical ventilation systems, and the employer ensures that the windows, doors, bays, and other openings are kept closed to minimize contamination by outdoor unfiltered air. Now, what you're going to hear me read right now are important things for you to be hearing so that you stay inside with your windows and doors closed and you're not breathing the air. So while you're hearing me talk about how they're going to create massive liability for employers, this is also your opportunity to help yourself and be self-reliant and do these things. And it says enclosed vehicles, this is again operations that are exempt, enclosed vehicles in which the air is filtered by a cabin air filter, and the employer ensures that the windows, doors, and other openings are kept closed for minimal contamination by outdoor or unfiltered air. They go on to say, though, that firefighters engaged in wildfires are exempt from all of this protection. And that's horrific, because our first responders are soldiers in a war that is unacknowledged, and they go out there fighting to try to save their communities and their cities and save homes. And now many firefighters from the Tubbs fire and since the Tubbs fire are massively suffering from PTSD, because they don't understand how this got so out of control and what happened. And sadly, they are blaming themselves for the cities burning down and that they were unable to stop it. And sadly, they cannot help us because they don't know that this is a weapons system. It goes on to talk about that communication as required by this section. The employee shall establish and implement a system for communicating wildfire smoke hazards in the form of readily understandable by all affected employees, including provisions designed to encourage employees to inform the employer of wildfire smoke. In other words, the employee is going to have to inform the employer that there's wildfire smoke, and the employee should be able to go to the doctor without fear of reprisal by the employer. And the system shall include the following procedures: encouraging employees to inform the employer of worsening air quality and any adverse symptoms that may result from wildfire smoke exposure, such as asthma attacks, difficulty breathing, chest pains, heart attacks, and more. So they're now shifting the blame of the upcoming enormity and the effects of smoke onto employers. Now, because PG&E, of course, is exiting the scene, their employees are not going to have PG&E to inform them about the smoke, since they're the purveyors of it. But they go on to say, protection from wildfire smoke. And they say it's mandatory if an employer monitors, they must monitor with direct reading instruments. In other words, it's up to them to figure out the types of levels of smoke that is over the chart and could be dangerous to their employees. And it says, the monitor shall be designed and manufactured to measure the concentration of airborne particular sizes ranging from diameter 0.1 micrometers up to and including 2.3 micrometers. The employer may use a monitor. Now, what this is going to mean is that they're going to have these monitors serviced, added cost. They may have to buy the monitors, but they can call a company and they can get the information when they give the zip code. So they are responsible for monitoring the air particulate during fires. The employee shall ensure that the monitor it uses is calibrated, maintained, and used, including the use of necessary accessories in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions for accurately measuring the concentration of particles in the environment. So I was not surprised to find out that this was coming down the pike, because they're certainly aware that there's going to be increasing illnesses as a result of smoke, if it's even identified as a consequence of smoke that we've all been breathing, all of us, unless you were out of here for the last couple of years. So they go on to say that here are some of the effects of wildfire smoke, and this is important for all of us to understand so that we know what we may be dealing with down the road. And this is in this document. And it says, although there are many hazardous chemicals in wildfire smoke, the main harmful pollutant for people who are not very close to the fire is particulate matter, the tiny particles suspended in the air. Particulate matter can irritate the lungs, cause persistent coughing, phlegm, wheezing, or difficulty breathing. Particulate matter can also cause more serious problems, such as reduced lung function, bronchitis, worsening of asthma, heart failure, and an early death. That's what we're being told is the consequence of the smoke. People over 65 who are already having some kind of a heart condition or lung problems are the most likely to suffer from serious health effects. And the right to obtain medical treatment without fear of reprisal, I told you about that. And they say the easiest way to find out the current forecasted smoke conditions is to contact www.airnow.gov and enter the zip code and the location that you are working in for all the details to avoid heart attack, increased asthma, and an early death. And now they're flipping it on to the backs of the employers. And I don't think the employers are fully aware of this. And as I say, I just caught it in a meeting that we were attending as an upcoming agenda item, because I had not heard about this. But now you have. And you can share this information with all you know, because you need to. Because we're going to have many, sadly, smoke-related issues as we move forward in the fire